Hello friends! Today we're going on an exciting journey back to the late 19th century, a time when the world was rapidly changing, and powerful empires fought for influence over distant parts of the globe. We'll be talking about an event that seems almost unbelievable, a war that lasted only 38 minutes. Yes, you heard that right. This is the Anglo-Zanzibar War, officially recognized as the shortest war in human history. What led to such a lightning-fast conflict? Who dared to challenge the mighty British Empire? Why did the struggle for the Sultan's throne end in a palace reduced to rubble and a ruler on the run? And can we even call this a real war? Today, we'll break it all down and dive into one of the most unusual and overlooked chapters in global history. Make yourself comfortable. We're about to enter a world of intrigue, diplomacy, and cannon fire that lasted less than an hour. The traditional view of the Anglo-Zanzibar War links it to the period of British imperial expansion and the fierce competition among European powers for control over Africa. By the end of the 19th century, the East African coast had become a key arena of geopolitical rivalry, with Zanzibar, a small but strategically vital island, at its center. Interestingly, Zanzibar was not just a colony or trading outpost at the time. It was an independent sultanate with rich traditions, active trade networks, and a complex social structure. Its ports were central to the trade of spices, textiles, and tragically people. Although slavery had been officially outlawed, the slave trade still persisted, which increasingly strained relations with the Europeans. In 1890, Zanzibar became a British protectorate. But it's important to note, this protectorate was more of a political formality than direct colonial rule. Local sultans retained a degree of autonomy, especially in matters of succession. However, Britain closely monitored who ascended to the throne. British influence extended not only through diplomacy and military power, but also through treaties and soft power, missionaries, trade incentives, and political patronage. This approach laid the groundwork for conflict, when a local ruler suddenly decided not to follow London's script. So behind this brief war lies a much more complex picture, a clash between traditional authority and imperial politics, a power struggle for the throne, and the global reshaping of the world. To understand how it all ended in just 38 minutes, we need to look deeper into the roots of this tension. The key turning point that led to the Anglo-Zanzibar War was the death of Sultan Hamad bin Thuwaini on August 25, 1896. He had been a loyal ally of the British, and his rule suited London well. But as often happens in politics, the power vacuum didn't last long. The very next day, defying all diplomatic protocols, his cousin Khalid bin Bargash seized the throne. Interestingly, Khalid had tried to claim the throne 2 years earlier, but the British had intervened in time to stop him. This time, however, he acted swiftly. He gathered his guards, fortified the Sultan's palace, and officially declared himself the new Sultan. All of this happened without British approval, a move seen as a direct challenge to their authority. But Khalid's actions weren't purely driven by ambition. He enjoyed support from parts of the local elite and aimed to restore independence from foreign interference. In the eyes of many Zanzibaris, he wasn't a rebel, he was a legitimate ruler. The British, of course, had no intention of tolerating open defiance. On August 26, British consul Basil Cave issued an ultimatum to Khalid: either step down by 9 a.m. the next day, or face military action. Khalid refused, stating he wouldn't leave unless compelled by force. What's fascinating is that both sides continued their diplomatic games during the standoff. Khalid reached out to other foreign powers, hoping for support, particularly from Germany, which had a consulate on the island, but no help came. Thus, war became inevitable. On one side, one of the world's most powerful empires with a modern fleet. On the other, a determined but doomed ruler defending his right to rule. The clash was coming, not with scale, but with stunning speed. Morning of August 27, 1896. At 8 a.m. local time, the British fleet, 5 ships strong, took positions in the Zanzibar harbor. Among them were the warships St. George, Philomel, and Raccoon, as well as support vessels. On land, around 150 Royal Marines and local Allied troops stood ready for action. Khalid, anticipating an attack, took refuge in the palace and mobilized about 2,800 men, palace guards, and hastily gathered supporters. They had a few outdated cannons and even a yacht, Glasgow, converted into a makeshift warship. But realistically, it was a hopeless defense. Until the last moment, Khalid hoped the British were bluffing. At 8:55, he sent a messenger offering to negotiate, but it was too late. At exactly 9:02 a.m., the British opened fire. The first shells struck the palace, causing chaos and destruction. Within minutes, the building was ablaze, the roof collapsed, and defenders fled in panic. British artillery was precise and devastating. Their technological superiority ended the resistance almost instantly. Simultaneously, British troops secured key buildings in the city, including the customs house and telegraph office. The Glasgow, trying to defend the harbor, was quickly sunk. A few of its sailors were killed, the only naval casualties on the Sultan's side. By 9:40, it was all over. Just 38 minutes after the first shot, the palace was in ruins, the defenses shattered. Khalid had fled to the German consulate, which granted him asylum. The British, avoiding an international incident, chose not to storm the consulate. Later that day, a German ship quietly evacuated Khalid from the island. Despite the destruction, casualties were minimal. Around 500 Zanzibaris were killed, mostly palace guards and servants. The British reported only one lightly wounded sailor, an astonishingly low figure for any armed conflict. Thus ended the shortest war in history, leaving behind rubble, but also important lessons. In the age of empires, superior technology and decisiveness could achieve in minutes what once took months. Immediately after the conflict, which lasted less than a school lesson, Britain installed a new sultan, Hamud bin Mohammed. Loyal and compliant, he became a puppet ruler under full British control. Interestingly, one of his first decrees was the official abolition of slavery in Zanzibar, a move that aligned with Britain's anti-slavery campaign in East Africa. In this way, the bombardment and regime change brought not just political dominance, but also social transformation under British influence. For the British Empire, this lightning war was a display of strength. In the global rivalry with Germany and France, it sent a clear message: Britain would not yield an inch of its sphere of influence. A 38-minute victory became a symbol of technological supremacy and imperial resolve. As for Khalid bin Bargash, his story took a strange turn. Thanks to German diplomatic protection, he avoided immediate arrest. But in 1916, the British finally captured him and exiled him permanently. He never returned to the throne. But it's worth asking, was this really a war in the traditional sense? Or a political performance with a predetermined outcome? The event serves as a reminder of how quickly the fate of nations can shift when colonial ambitions collide with local resistance. It also highlights the fragility of autonomy for small states in an age of empires. Khalid, like many before him, became a pawn in a much bigger game. His bold move to claim the throne turned into a desperate gesture, yet it etched his name in history as the man who stood against the British war machine. Even if only for half an hour. The Anglo-Zanzibar War is more than just a historical curiosity. It's a symbol of an era where cannon fire spoke louder than negotiations, and its brevity is a grim reminder of how quickly force can replace diplomacy. The Anglo-Zanzibar War is not just the shortest war on record. It's a reflection of an age where the fate of nations could change in moments, and empires expanded at the speed of a gunshot. Just 38 minutes, and power shifted, an empire strengthened its hold, and a man lost his throne forever. Khalid bin Bargash's story reminds us how fragile political ambition can be in the face of global power. His failed stand earned him a place in one of history's most unusual episodes. Today, Zanzibar is a peaceful island with beaches and resorts, but its past holds a war that lasted less than an hour. And in that paradox lies a vital truth. Even the shortest events can leave the longest shadows. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And tell us, do you think a war that short can still be meaningful? Share your thoughts in the comments. See you soon, more amazing stories are on the way.